All right, the Sorta Sports Podcast, episode number 24 here on the pod. Last one I did, of course, we had my good buddy Dalton come on. Thank you, Dalton. I know you're probably listening to this episode, and I appreciated you coming on the pod. If you see the picture here, it is of my boy Saddiq Bey. He is going to have the entire picture for the whole episode because A, it's easier on me to edit, and B, we're going to talk about him a good amount because he did something incredible. And if you didn't hear about it, shame on you. You need to be paying attention to my boy Saddiq. And if you did hear about it, you know what I'm talking about. So he's about halfway through our topics for today. It's all NBA-based episode. Right now it's Monday. Quinn and I think, are recording Wednesday about March Madness. I did just put up the March Madness episode we recorded on, I think it was Tuesday night we recorded our March Madness episode, and I put it up on Sunday. So I was really behind. I actually posted it after the first and second round had ended. So if you're going to match our bracket with ours, which I don't know why you do that, we picked Auburn to win the national title, and they lost last night. I mean, my real bracket that I made with like a family, which we do, and like my family, and then the winner gets a little prize or whatever. I took my Final Four was Texas over Purdue, and then Auburn losing to Arizona, and then Arizona beating Texas Tech in the national title. So that was a really confusing way of saying that my national title was Auburn over Texas Tech, and that's still possible. So I'm very happy with that. So yeah, it's all NBA because Quinn and I are going to talk a lot about March Madness when we record. I think we're going to record Wednesday this week. Monday doesn't really work for us. That's why I'm recording right now because I really had nothing better to do. And I was like, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about the NBA because probably the next episode you're going to be getting is going to be a MLB. Probably next thing I do is an MLB predictions show, probably the second week of April. And then not long after that, I'd be doing the NBA playoff predictions. I don't think I do it all in one episode. That's a lot. So, yeah, this is just kind of cleaning house before we get to the final episode where I'll give my takes for MVP and all that. Right now, we're just kind of discussing. So, speaking of MVP, let's talk about that. Embiid? Is it Embiid? I mean, that's what I wrote down. I have written down on my notes, Embiid MVP, question mark. Giannis should be in chat, and Jokic, of course. So, I think the thing with Jokic is right now, let me pull up Basketball Reference. I always, have to look stuff up while I'm recording. It's so unprofessional. Oh my gosh. No, the thing is with the Jokic is right now he is actually leading the NBA in win shares, which I think is kind of interesting. Well, let's just look at the league leaders. So points, the most points scored this year is DeMar DeRozan, but the most points per game is Joel Embiid with 29.8. Sheesh, that's a lot of points. Almost 30 a game. Nice, Joel. Total rebounds, Jokic, 885 rebounds per game, though, is Rudy Gobert. Assists per game and just assists counting stat is Chris Paul. Steals per game and steals counting is both DeJounte Murray. Blocks and counting is Jaren Jackson Jr. Per game is Rudy Gobert, but that's interesting. 3-point field goal percentage is Luke Kennard. Man, I got to look at this more often. Field goal attempts, Jason Tatum. We're going to talk about him later, too, for obvious reasons. Yeah, so points per game leader on the year is Joel Embiid, and then the win share leader is Jokic. So let's go to Embiid. Now, last year, remember, I was really big, and I was like, he should really be talks for MVP. It was him versus Jokic kind of last year, and then that narrative kind of faded away because Embiid got hurt. Well, this year, it seems a lot. We're having that story again, except I think Embiid might come on top. You got to take a drink here. I was really parched for some reason. Why did I use the word parched? That was odd. I was really thirsty for some reason, so I got a drink. Okay. So let's go to Embiid stats for this year compared to last year, because I think that's intriguing. So last year he was 28.5. This year he's 29.8 points. So he went up a little over 1 point. His blocks per game are the exact same at 1.4. His assists per game are quite different with 2.8 to 4.3. So about 1.5 more assists. His rebounds, he added about half a rebound more. It was 10.6 to 11.3. And then his true shooting, for some reason, I can't see his true shooting. I always think they have it displayed normally, but then you have to open up the advanced stats on Basketball Reference. I don't know why that is. I just think it's a little odd that they try to hide true shooting for me. All right, I finished my drink, so no longer you're going to have to hear me taking swigs from my body armor gold berry. All right, so can I get, I'm really trying right here to get his true shooting for everyone to hear. There it is. This year it's 60.9. Last year it was, if it's going to load in, come on, 63.6. So he was technically a better shooter last year. But in his defense, he's also shooting a lot more. I don't know if it's a lot more. Actually, I can check that. What am I doing? Field goals attempted, he is shooting 1.5 more shots. Well, technically 1.7, if you want to be technical. He shot 17.6 times last year. This year he shoots 19.3, which I think might go down just in the next about a little less than a month they have left in the season, just because he has Harden now. But, we'll see. Win shares for the year, 10.3. That's pretty solid when you think about the fact that Jokic is in the lead at 13.2. So now let me look into, we can talk about Jokic's stats too. We'll look into Jokic, and then we will look at Giannis, and then we're going to compare Embiid to somebody. So let me look at Giannis real quick. So Giannis this year is putting up his regular Giannis stats. 29.8 points, same as Embiid. His blocks, 1.4, same as Embiid. Total rebounds, 11.5 for Giannis. This is why we're going to talk about him for Defensive Player of the Year. Spoilers. Assists, 5.8, which I think is higher than Embiid's. Yep. So, Giannis is insanely efficient, and, his win shares are higher than Embiid's. He's 11.7. And to Embiid's 10.3. Jokic obviously has the most with 13.2 win shares. Jokic is putting up 26.1 points, so the lowest out of the three. His blocks are only 0.8. His assists are 8, though, which is the highest we've seen so far. His total rebounds are 13.6, which, does that top Embiid? Yes, it does, and that tops Giannis. So that's intriguing. So overall, Jokic, other than scoring, has more rebounds and more assists than Embiid and Giannis. But Embiid is the most prolific scorer. If you want to break it down, Embiid is the big scorer. Jokic is crazy at everything else right now, but the weakest at scoring out of the three, technically, from the statistical perspective. And then Giannis is the most do-it-all. That's the way it appears. Really, Embiid isn't on the 75th anniversary? Well, Jokic isn't on the 75th anniversary team. That's wild. I just see winning time, Rise of Lakers Dynasty. Saw that in the top of Basketball Reference. I really need to watch that. I'll probably talk about it on here when I do. So if we want to look at standings for MVP, these are obviously the top three. I think one of these three is going to win it. With Curry getting injured now, I think it's over for his campaign. He has officially lost it. But we're going to look at NBA standings because obviously you're going to need to be a top seed to secure, that MVP. So in the Western Conference, the Nuggets are the 7th seed. They just went on a 2-game losing streak that he lost to the Cavs recently off an Evan Mobley and won in overtime. Woo! That was pretty freaking sweet. But the Sixers are 43-27, the Bucks are 44-27, and the Heat are 47-24. So I think, honestly, this was going to be my take I was going to talk about later, but I might as well throw it out now. I think the Sixers might win the East. I definitely think they're going to be the 2 seed at least. I think there's a chance they become the 1 seed, which is crazy. What I'm really hoping for is if they can be the 2 seed and somehow the Nets, however the plan works out, the Nets would be the 7th seed. I think that would be amazing. And if that would happen, I would think, I'm thinking standing-wise, let's say the Heat keep the 1 seed, the Sixers are the 2, and so then the Heat would play, I'm looking at plan, probably the Raptors would be the 8 seed then. Nets are 7th seed. Raptors or Hornets, I'd say. So Raptors or Hornets play the Heat, and then the Sixers would play the Nets. And the Bucks are the 3 seed, and they would probably play the Bulls. I'm honestly starting to think the Bulls are going to fall to being the 6, and then the Cavs will be the 5 seed. And then the Celtics will play the Cavs, which is a terrible matchup for the Cavs. Oh, no. Yikes. Tatum's going to... Okay, I think the Cavs could do it because we're big, and the Celtics really aren't big. But I'm also thinking about, we're going to have Lowry guard Tatum. I guess we can put my boy Isaac Okoro on Tatum. But, Oh, that's poor Isaac. Oh my, that's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. Okay. So, yeah, I think the Sixers, I think out of these three, out of Giannis, Jokic, and Embiid, will have the best record. I think Embiid, this is his best season he's ever had. He's played the most games he's ever played. Well, right now he technically hasn't because in 2019 he played 64 games. This right now he's only played 58, but barring anything crazy happening, he's going to play potentially 70 games, which is the most he's ever played. So, this has been his healthiest season in a while. Every year he's played more than 50 games, he's been an all-star, I guess. You want to give that stat. But granted, that's kind of weird because he's made an all-star team every year he's been in the league except his first year. And his first year was, when he first really started playing because he was injured for so long. So, yeah. I think it's Embiid's MVP right now, to be honest. I think he's going to win it. And I think part of that's voter fatigue. Giannis obviously went back-to-back. I think he, in my opinion, is the winner for Defensive Player of the Year. We're going to talk about that here in a moment. And I don't think if the Bucks were the 1 seed and Giannis was just dominant, right? And Giannis is dominant right now. And I'm saying the Bucks were the 1 seed and they were dominating every team and they had 60 wins. I think Giannis could get MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think he can get both. Again, just, voter fatigue and everything going on. And I think Embiid really deserves it, and they know that. It's kind of like Harden might have had a better year in 2017, but they gave it to him in 2018. So Embiid, I think this is his best year, and, he was close last year. So I think this, and it's all kind of coming together. This is really Embiid's MVP, I think. And I think he's going to win it, to be perfectly honest. I really do. So I think Joel Embiid is going to be the MVP, barring anything crazy. So Joel Embiid is also my MVP. I believe he deserves it. For Defensive Player of the Year, I'm not really going to go too deep here because you just read off Giannis' stats. I just want to point out, Mikal Bridges should be talked about for the Suns because, he's been playing really well. Villanova graduate, Mikal Bridges. So this year, he's, points 14.1, highest of his career, for the Suns. But he just plays some good defense. I mean, rebound, none of his stats really pop off the page. 4 rebounds, 1.2 steals. None of that really pops off the page. But, if you just watch the games, he's tough. He's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but, he should definitely be first or second team. So, yeah, props to you, Mikal Bridges. You've been playing well. I just see his nicknames on Basketball Reference are The Warden, Noodles, Inspector Go-Go Gadget, String Bean, Brittle, and Praying Mantis. So I don't know when I'm going to watch a game and Kevin Harlan's going to be like, and Praying Mantis with the 3. I would love to see that. Or maybe they say Brittle with the bucket, or Inspector Go-Go Gadget with the slam, or String Bean with the steal. Out comes the Warden for the Suns. I don't know. That was pretty hilarious. So, yeah. Right now, NBA awards looking like Embiid MVP, Giannis Defensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year. I think Heroes just kind of got Sixth Man of the Year locked up. I mean, it's felt like him all year. He's putting up 21 points, and he's only started 10 games out of 58 he's played. I feel like he's going to win it. They're the number 1 seed in the East. So I think Tyler Hero's got it. Congrats, Dalton. Your team's getting the Sixth Man of the Year. So now moving over to Coach of the Year, I feel like it's got to be JB Bickerstaff. I definitely, honestly, I don't know if I see the argument for Eric Spoelstra. I see it for Monty Williams, but the fact that he won it last year, I don't think he's going to win it again. Really, the only other team I think has a chance to get the only other teams I think has a chance would be Udoka. Or is it Udoka? I can never remember. For the Celtics, their head coach. I don't want to butcher his name. Used to be the Nets assistant coach, I think. That's where he was, right? Yeah. I think that was what it was. Yep, he was the assistant coach of the Nets. And he turned that team around mid-season. So that was crazy. So, props to him. The Celtics are scary. Really scary. So, we're going to talk about them later. He's really turned them around. So I definitely see the argument for him. And then I think another obvious one, but I don't know if it's coaching as much as job, but you got to give the coach credit. And that's Taylor Jenkins for the Grizzlies. I mean, they were doing well. I mean, they came kind of out of, I think they're the most surprising team, kind of, other than the Cavs. I think the Cavs are the most surprising, and they were second. So, I mean, props to Ja and everybody on that team. Got to love those guys. So, I think it should be Bickerstaff, though, just because of how big of a leap they made. The Celtics, I think, were projected to do pretty well. The Grizzlies, I think, were also projected to do relatively well. So, all right. Rookie of the Year. Cade or Mobley? This is the big discussion right now. Is it Evan or is it Cade? Now, as a man that just watched Evan Mobley hit a game-winning and won, I definitely am leaning Mobley's way in the fact that I am a Cavs fan. But I will say I 100% see the Cade argument. Cade, as of late, has been going off. For the season, though, he's averaged 16.9 points, so basically 17, 5.4 assists, and 6 rebounds, essentially, because 5.9. Mobley is averaging 8.3 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 15.2 points. So he's officially been overtaken by the scoring. And Cade Cunningham's basically flirting with a triple-double every game at this point. Like, he just consistently is doing well. But the thing with Mobley, I think, is Mobley's been more consistent the whole year, whereas Cade in these last 2 months just really ramped it up. And the fact that Mobley's going to be on a team that's going to be probably the 5 or 6 seed in the East makes me think that he's going to win it. Whereas, I mean, the Pistons have taken some amazing steps as of late. And, you know, we're about to talk about Saddiq in a moment. And, you know, like you guys know, I love this Pistons team too, but I just think Mobley's kind of had it all year, and the fact that he's continued to do well, whereas Cade's kicked it up the end, and he might be a little better here at the end, but overall Mobley's got him beat. So I think that's what's going to go on. And I think the voters have kind of already made their decision, and the fact that the Cavs got a really good record, I think they like it when the rookies have a really good record. So I think Mobley has it in the bag. All right, let's do it. Saddiq Bey, baby. My guy, Saddiq Bey, my boy, one of my favorite players in the league. I own a jersey of him. It was one of the Motor City Pistons City jerseys, I think from 2020 or in 2019. I think it was the 2020 City jerseys. Those, which I didn't think I'd really like that much. I didn't think I'd like that City jersey as much. And then I started wearing it. People were like, "Yo, that's pretty sweet." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So I kind of grown to like it. I didn't think I'd like it when I wear it. I'm like, "Yeah, this looks nice. I like it." And he dropped in those beautiful red jerseys, those red City jerseys for the Pistons. If they get the horse jerseys back, dude, I will buy another Saddiq Bey jersey because I love Saddiq and the Pistons stuff's pretty sweet. But Saddiq Bey had 51 points. 51 points. So, for those of you that listen to this podcast and don't pay enough attention to Saddiq Bey, which, if you listen to my podcast and don't pay enough to Saddiq Bey, I'm going to be really freaking upset. But Saddiq Bey is quietly amazing because last year he was all-rookie first team with 12.2 points, 1.4 assists, and 4.5 rebounds. And from 3, he shot 380. And overall, his field goal percentage was 404. You know, I prefer true shooting, but I don't feel like pulling up all the stuff right now. So, then this year, he stepped up, 16.4 points. His assists have went up tremendously for, you know, when you think about it. He went from 1.4 to 3, basically 2.9. His rebounds went up too, 5.8 from 4.5. His three-point percentage went down, but he's also attempting basically a whole other shot now. A whole extra shot, so it went down to 350. His minutes per game have went up, I got to do math here, 6 minutes. And he started every game he's played because he's absolutely wonderful. And if you just want me to pull up his, can I just get recent games? I mean, come on. This guy was the 20th pick in the 2020 draft. And, I mean, let's pull up the, sorry, not 20th pick. Why did I say that? He's 19th. What am I doing? Yeah, sorry. He was the 19th pick in the 2020 draft, and he was then traded on draft night from the Nets to the Pistons. in a trade that I think the Pistons completely stole. Because if we look at the 2020 draft, Anthony Edwards, number one, great pick, for I just heard on the Bun and Cardigan podcast, which is a Pistons actually themed podcast hosted by the Athletics' James Edward III. That's like a Pistons beat writer, and then a guy who's like a big Pistons fan, who I really like. They were just talking about, he nicknamed Minnesota Winnesota because of all the winning basketball they've been playing. But Anthony Edwards, obviously a great pick. James Wiseman, I still think is really interesting if the Hornets would have taken LaMelo Ball there. I mean, not the Hornets. The Warriors would have taken LaMelo Ball there. LaMelo's third, Patrick Williams fourth. Patrick Williams low-key disappointed this year. Not the fact, he hasn't played badly. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's been good, but maybe he has played badly when I look at it. Why am I saying? What am I saying? I'm stupid. Of course he's been playing badly. He's only played 5 games. I completely forgot that he was out for the season. I apologize. I don't know what I'm talking about. I was just being dumb. I apologize. Point is, guys drafted before Saddiq Bey. Josh Green, okay. Pokusevski, Cole Anthony, Aaron Naismith, Kira Lewis Jr., Devin Vassell, Jalen Smith, Denny Avdija, Obi Toppin, Killian Hayes, Onyeka Okongwu. I think he's better than all these guys. I think he's better than Isaac Okoro, too, and I love Isaac Okoro. I think he could potentially be better. I think he might be better than Patrick Williams. In my opinion, he legitimately could have been a top 5 pick here. Granted, though, behind him, Desmond Bane was taken, Emmanuel Quickley was taken, Tyrese Maxey was taken. So, I mean, those are some good guys. Isaiah Stewart, Saddiq Bey, and Killian Hayes were all taken in this draft by the Pistons, and that's a freaking draft. I mean, that's a heck of a draft. Franchise center, potential all-star, and Saddiq Bey, and then Killian Hayes, who I still have faith in being like a 6th man of the year at some point in his life. So, Saddiq Bey, absolutely wonderful. I mean, he is an amazing player, but let's get into what we actually want, which is the stats from a certain game in which Pistons played the Orlando Magic. In this game, Saddiq Bey played 38 minutes and 44 seconds. He shot 27 shots, made 17 of them, was shooting .630 from the field, his highest this season. He made 10 out of 14 three-pointers, setting him at 714 from shooting from 3. He made 7 out of 10 free throws. You can do that math in your head. He had 4 assists, 9 rebounds, and 51 points, scoring him a plus 11 plus minus. Oh my gosh. My gosh. So he was insane. 51 points. I think he could do this again at some point. I don't think this is going to. I think for his career, Saddiq Bey in his prime will average about 20. I'm not sure what his ceiling is, though. Because while I love Saddiq, I don't know what his best ball is. Is he a Chris Middleton? Is that like his best? Is like like Chris Middleton in the 2021 finals? Is that like where he's like can be a really solid, 1-2, like the second best player on a championship team? I think so. Or is he like, an overqualified third best player, right? Like is he like a I can't even really think of somebody. Like is he an overqualified kind of like the role that like I'm not even sure. Like Andrew Wiggins on the Warriors, right? I'm not sure what Saddiq Bey's best looks. I'm not sure what his ceiling is. All I know is that I'm excited to see it because he continues to improve. I thought for the Pistons to take the next step, he was one of the X factors that needed to improve, and he has this year. And I'm really proud of him, and I really love Saddiq Bey, and he's an amazing player. And so, yeah, he is one of the core pieces. I mean, Cade Cunningham has stepped up and is like showing that the Pistons are becoming that team that I thought they were going to be. I think next year they're definitely going to make at least a play-in spot. Write that down right now. Between drafting Paulo or Jabari or whoever they get, and yeah, they're going to be nice. So, I mean, that starting lineup, just look at it. You get Cade, potentially Killian. You could draft like a veteran shooting guard, have Killian off the bench. I think would be better. Saddiq, and then either Paulo, Chet, or Jabari if you can grab one of them. And then Isaiah Stewart at center with Marvin Bagley, who's been great for them, off the bench. I mean, sheesh. Team is going to be crazy. So yeah, Saddiq, I love you, man. Great job. You definitely do not listen to this podcast, but just let you know, like, you're amazing, and I appreciate you, and you're an amazing player. Now let's move on to the most watchables. Number 5 is actually going to be the Pistons because I think people don't pay enough attention to this team, and I think they're a fun team to watch. When I watch like some of the Pistons games, I'm like, crap, they're fun. So I would like watch the Pistons. They got nice. I think their jerseys have taken a step up. Like the city jersey that they have, that's red. It's a nice looking jersey, and I think people need to be paying more attention to Saddiq and Cade and this team. So Pistons. 4 is the Suns, the only team in the league that's actually secured a playoff spot for a reason. They play amazing basketball. Defensively, they're like the best in the league. So yeah, they're freaking good. Jay Crowder's a defensive anchor for them. 3 is the Cavs, mostly because I'm biased, but also because like they're missing Jared Allen. I just saw Dean Wade got hurt, and yet Colin Sexton's obviously out. Karis LeVert just came back, and yet they're playing amazing basketball. Also, Osman's out. Garland's awesome every night. Lowry can just pop off like he did against the Nuggets, and he had 30. I think it was 31 he had, 31. Mobley is so much fun to watch. He just keeps getting better, I feel like, every game. So the Cavs, and those beautiful jerseys. I was so upset. They're sold out of Jared Allen City jerseys, so I couldn't get one. I'm really upset. But number 2, Grizzlies, for obvious reasons. I mean, Marant, that's really all I have to say. Also, I'm going to apologize again to Patrick Williams. I'm so sorry that I forgot about you being hurt. I feel so stupid. But the Grizzlies, number 2, because, the jerseys are fire, especially like when they wear those city ones that have like the yellow lining. Gotta love those. Morant's the most exciting player in basketball. And then number 1's the Sixers. I ran through these most watchables pretty quick because it's kind of similar to 4 of these teams were on the last one. And the top 2 are the same as last time. But the Sixers are number 1 because, like, Embiid's the MVP. Him and Harden are a dynamic duo. And, like, if we start talking about finals, I didn't do what I did about halfway through the season where I was like, all right, legitimate contenders, dark horses for the finals. I didn't do that again because I'm like, we're going to be doing playoff predictions within a couple episodes, so I'm not doing that. But the Sixers are honestly like, it's like them Heat Bucks are like the main 3 out of the East right now. I worry about the Bulls in the playoffs. I think the Cavs are, I'd be happy to win a first round game, but, we'll see. And then, to me, the Cavs are the finals contender next year, and then the Pistons are like a play-in maybe. Or maybe the Pistons get like a 6 seed. I don't know. Thinking like next year, the Bucks would be a finals contender, Cavs finals contender. Pistons are just happy to be in the playoffs. And then, yeah, I think that's the trajectory for next year out of the 3 teams I really watch. But, well, I guess I watch every team. But I mean, like, the 3 teams that like I feel like I have an attachment to. The Bucks because of Giannis, the Cavs because I'm a Cavs guy, and the Pistons just because, I know a guy who works for the Pistons, and I've really grown to like Saddiq Bey and some of their players that they have. So. But I think the Celtics are weird. They're the in-between for me, where they're not like, they're better than like the Cavs and the Bulls, but I don't know if I trust them as much as I trust the Heat, Sixers, and Bucks. Granted, I have no reason to trust the Sixers when you think about it, because I trust them last year and they disappointed. But I just feel like it might be different this year. I don't know. They just feel different. But granted, they just lost to the Nets, so I don't know. We'll see what happens when playoff prediction time rolls around. I'll probably end up going to the Bucks just because Giannis, and I trust Giannis the most. Also, Saddiq Bey wears number 41. You gotta love that. That's just freaking weird. The jersey, I think, is cool that way. He's really unique. He's cool. You gotta love Saddiq Bey. But yeah, I think the Sixers definitely most watchable. Plus those city jerseys I've actually really grown to like. All right, now I talk a lot about favorite players, and I think my favorite players of all time is really tough for me to do. It's obvious that Giannis is like my favorite player of all time. But I decided to kind of clear the air a little bit and do right now. We're basically at the end of the season. I don't think anything's going to change too much. So at the end of the 2022 season, and whenever this changes significantly, I will outline it again. But I decided to do a team of my favorite players. So the starting point guard, so it would be my overall favorite point guard, my overall favorite shooting guard, my overall favorite small forward, my overall favorite power forward, my overall favorite center, and then the backups, so it would be my second favorite in the league right now. Not all time, that's too hard for me. So my favorite point guard in the league, so just one of my favorite players. Overall, Giannis obviously is just my favorite player, period. But I'm saying if I just did by position, make it a little easier, make my own team. So it's essentially the all-Ryan NBA team. So the starting point guard is Morant. When he first came into the league, I was like, it's him or Kyrie. And then Kyrie, When he was in Boston, I kind of lost my luster for him, and I was really upset that he left the Cavs and everything, so it ended up being, yeah, because I still liked Kyrie for a little bit after he left the Cavs, and then I started to be like, I don't know if I still like him, so Ja took his spot because Ja was exciting. Backup would be Luka or Darius Garland. It should be Garland. The only reason it's Luka is because Luka, for the longest time, was my favorite shooting guard, and then I noticed a new guy, and I basically recognized who the greatest basketball player of all time was. So we'll get to him next. But to me, Luka's always a shooting guard in my head, but I have to accept the fact he's a point guard now. So it probably is Darius when I really think about it, but I have an attachment to Luka because when he first came in, I don't know. I don't know if it's Luka or Darius. That's why this is one of the only spots that has two guys as the backup because it was a really tough pick. Shooting guard, Shake Milton. I mean, it's obvious. I love Shake Milton. He's exceptionally underrated. He's literally is tied for an NBA record for most threes in a game. Like, people don't talk about Shake, and legitimately, he's amazing. Shake Milton is and you guys might think it's a joke, but I'm not joking. He is amazing. He is a great basketball player. He is efficient. He can score. He moves the ball. He's tough on defense. I love Shake Milton, and you should too. So, Shake Milton, starting shooting guard. Backup would be Donovan Mitchell or Isaac Okoro. It probably is Okoro, but I'm not sure. Because, you see where I get into issues here. Where it's I really like Donovan Mitchell, but Okoro is something special to me because he's on the Cavs. And I just really like the way he plays, and I think next year is going to be his breakout year. It's Sexton's third year he broke out. Garland's third year he broke out. Okoro's third year he's going to break out, and everybody's going to start paying attention to him because he's amazing. So, yeah, I think it's Okoro or Donovan Mitchell. And those are the only ones that have two for the backup. I'm sorry for doing that. It was just really tough for me to pick. Small forward, Saddiq Bey. I feel like it's obvious. I just went on and on about him, how I love Saddiq Bey. So I feel like it's obvious. The backup's actually weird here. I don't really have a small forward that I really thought about that I really love other than Saddiq. And, if I guess I had to put somebody, I guess I'd go R.J. Barrett. I just like R.J. Barrett. Ever since he was drafted, I was like, this guy's solid. People don't talk about him enough because everybody was too focused on Zion. And I was like, I like R.J. Barrett. And, whenever he does well for the Knicks, I get a smile on my face. So, yeah, put R.J. Power forward, Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously. Backup, Kevin Love, obviously, because Kevin Love and Shake Milton always fight it out for the greatest player of all time. To Dalton and I, Kevin Love will always be the GOAT, but all right. Okay, so nobody tell Dalton I said this. But, Shake Milton's actually the best one. But, wait a minute, he's going to listen. He's going to listen to this. Let's just move over to center. Jared Allen, obviously. He's second in true shooting, I just noticed the other day, so that's crazy. He's behind Rudy Gobert. So, that's good for Jared. He's just an efficient shooter. And then backup's Joel. For the longest time, Joel was my favorite center, and then, my boy Jarrett came in. You might be wondering where'd Julius Randle go. Gotta admit, guys, low-key a fake Julius Randle fan because when he started slowing down, I started liking him less. I really liked his success story of, coming out of nothing. Well, not coming out of nothing, but always just being a pretty average, above average, solid player to being absolutely nuts. And when that narrative kind of faded away this year, I mean, he's still putting up 20 points per game. Don't get me wrong. But, I felt like that story started to fade away, and that really drew me to him. So I really enjoy it when guys get most improved player and stuff like that. So I still like Julius, don't get me wrong, but that's why he's not on the team. So then I prepared another team that I might just make a segment on the show. I don't know if it'll be a yearly thing. I don't know if maybe I'll just do it every once in a while. And it's basically just a way for me to talk about guys that I don't think are talked about enough. I don't know. I thought about naming it after Shake Milton, but I don't know. I think these guys are even a little more high profile than Shake. I think Shake is supremely not talked about. Nobody talks really about Shake, I feel like. He's exceptionally underrated. He's an incredible, a fun personality. I love Shake. I mean, Brett Brown literally told him he wasn't going to be on the team anymore and he wasn't a part of the future, and then Shake went out and dropped 31 points. Literally freaking Mamba mentality on Shake Milton. He's nuts. That is not sarcasm. Being legit. Shake is good. So, but I don't know what I'll name this team. Maybe some guy will keep showing up on here and I'll talk about him and then I'll have a name for this team. But right now I have written down on my notes Ryan's guys that I like that need to be talked about more all-star team. So the point guard is Grayson Allen. I don't think enough of you people that don't watch the Bucks that often realize like how solid Grayson Allen has been. He's taken over Dante DiVincenzo's role there. He's averaging 11.2 points and, shooting 403 from three while attempting 6 threes a game. So, like, he's shooting it, like, at a really high percent from three. He's been a deadeye. Like, he's just been good for the Bucks. And I don't think enough people are like, Grayson Allen's really solid for the Bucks. Like, he started all but one game he's played. Like, he starts for the Bucks. He's one of their main starters. It's like Drew Holiday, him, Giannis, and Chris Middleton are like, and when Brook Lopez is back, it'll be Brook at the 5. Like, that'll be their starters. I don't think enough people pay attention to how good Grayson Allen is. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I don't see a lot of people talking about him. Next one's a guy that I think is probably the most talked about guy on this entire list, but I still really love him because he went to that Illinois team He was on that Illinois team last year that I really thought was going to win the national title. And that's Ayo Dosunmu. When he was drafted, it was kind of like, oh, cool, Illinois guy getting drafted to the Bulls. That's cool, He was, 20... No, it wasn't 20. It was 38th pick. Wow. And, he's put up 8.5 points, started about half the games he's played, shoots 390 from three. But granted, he only shoots 2 threes a game. But I'm saying, like, he just drives the hoop, and he plays tough defense. I'm like, yeah, I feel like Dosunmu, not enough people talk about Dosunmu. He's just good for the Bulls, and I think people should pay more attention to that. So, I think Bulls fans always know what I'm talking about. I don't know, maybe this is you're not a fan of these teams, but if you were, you like this guy crew. I don't know. Small forward's Lowry Markkanen, because he plays small forward for the Cavs, and he freaking kills it. And you gotta love Lowry. If you're a Cavs fan, you know what I'm talking about. This guy has just been crazy for us. 14.3 points, but that doesn't really tell the whole full story. His stats really don't even pop off the page that much. Like, yeah, he shoots 351 from three after attempting 6 threes a game. But I'm like, Chicago, in Jim Boylan's system, which Boylan obviously terrible NBA coach, but in Boylan's system for the Bulls, he had Lowry like playing power forward and center and like posting him up, and that was terrible. And now, the Cavs got him running like small forward, power forward, and just using him like offense heavy, and he plays tough defense. Like the other night, he was guarding Jokic, and he was doing it well. I mean, yeah, Jokic still had like 30 points, but he's Jokic. So, there are times where Jokic might be the best player in the NBA. So, But, Markkanen's just good. Like, if the Cavs win a playoff series, it's going to be because Markkanen had a 30-point night in there somewhere. Like, Markkanen is a tough player. Like, Markkanen plays good basketball. I love Lowry. He's awesome for the Cavs. And anybody who's a Cavs fan knows what I'm talking about. Lowry's awesome. Power forward's Isaiah Livers. This is the least talked about guy on the team right now. I think that's why when I call it, it's like, you're not a fan of these teams, but if you were, you'd like this guy. And Livers is one of the guys I talk about on the Bun and Cardigan show for the Pistons. He's just good. I mean, he's a Michigan guy, drafted to Michigan. 4.8 points. Okay, Ryan. This guy is literally scoring 5 points a game. I know. But he's only played 12 games for the Pistons. But in those games, he shot 400 from three. Granted, it's only 3 attempted shots. But if you want to look at his G League stats, all right, I got to figure out how to get to his G League stats. I was just looking at it the other day. Isaiah Livers G League stats. There it is. Let me get his G League stats when he was on the what is the Pistons? Is it the Crew? It's the Pistons G League affiliate called. We're about to find out. I don't remember what they're called all of a sudden. But Isaiah Livers, Michigan guy, if you remember when he was in Michigan, he could just shoot the ball. I mean, he was just a bucket. 42nd pick in the draft. For the G League, he was putting up 13 points a game. From three, he was shooting... sorry, I'm trying to find it. From three, he was shooting 33.3%. So, I mean, come on. He could just shoot the ball. Like, Isaiah Livers is just a dude who can shoot. He's going to be a bench player for the Pistons for about 4 years. If they make a playoff run, he's going to be on the team and play about 10 minutes a game, and he might have a game where he randomly drops 18. And I'm saying he's just a heck of a shooter. I think he's like a poor man's maybe Joe Harris at some point in his career. So, not any slight to Joe Harris. I'm saying I just think Livers has potential. Like I really like Livers and Motor City Cruise. Yeah, Cruise. I was saying crew as in like Columbus Crew. It's cruise as in like the country song, roll my windows down and cruise. So, the Maine Celtics, that's the Celtics. Huh. It's really weird looking at all these G League teams. I don't really think about all the different G League teams. I obviously know the Mad Ants because they're usually pretty good. Then there's the Ignite, the only one that's not affiliated with the team other than the New Mexico City one. I'm not sure. Is that Capitanes for Mexico City? It's not New Mexico City. It's Mexico City. Oh, okay. I knew what this was. Yep. I know how this works. Yeah. Yeah, I forgot that they did that. Interesting. All right, sorry. Back to the list. The center for this is Marvin Bagley III. Now, I did put. You're also probably thinking, Ryan, you put a Bucks guy, a Cavs guy, and 2 Pistons. Yes, I did, and part of that is because those are the teams I pay the most attention to. So I obviously have some guys that I'm like, hey, pay attention to this guy. So yes, I apologize. I will try to, for the future, broaden my horizons more. But let's look at Marvin Bagley. He's been good for the Pistons. I mean, since going there, he's only played 12 games, but he's putting up 13.6 points on his field goal percentage being .533, the highest it's ever been in his career. Granted, small sample size, but he's just looked like completely different when I've seen him. And I'm like, I think he's going to go to free agency, it looks like. And I'm like, if you're a team like it's competing for a title and you need a solid power forward center guy, I would nab Bagley immediately on like a 1-year, $13 million deal. I mean, the Cavs definitely don't need him. It doesn't even make sense. But like, I don't know if that fits really with the Celtics, but I'm thinking like the Warriors, right? The Warriors could pay him 1 year, $12 million. That'd be an amazing fit. So, yeah. I think Bagley, reason Bagley's on this team is I just want to point out, like, Bagley's kind of doing stuff over in Detroit. So, might want to pay attention to that. All right, the closing debate. So, a while back, I think it was back in November, Buddy and I were having a conversation. We talked about the 2017 NBA draft. And the 2 best players in that draft are Jason Tatum taking at the 3 spot and Donovan Mitchell, who was taken at the, I believe, 13th spot. And I don't really want to get too stat here. Like overall in their career, they're pretty similar, honestly. Like they both have shown he's 13th, yep. They've both shown flashes of greatness. I mean, Donovan has had the Jazz in the playoffs, I think, every year other than his rookie year. And then, I think they've been in the second. He's been in the second round, I think, 2 or 3 straight years. Jason Tatum was in the Eastern Conference Finals his first year. Played great, lost to the Cavs. Then his third year in the NBA, Eastern Conference Finals, lost to the Heat in, I think, 6 games. And then, 2019, they played the Bucks in the second round and lost to the Bucks, who then went on to lose to the Raptors. So, I guess I'm just saying, like, Tatum looks right now like he's got the chance to be an MVP. Like we always thought Tatum could be like an MVP level player. And when my friend and I had this conversation a couple months ago, I was like, Mitchell, my argument was, I believe Mitchell has a worse team in the Jazz and yet performs almost to the same level Tatum does. That was my closing argument. I was like, I think Mitchell is better because I think he can elevate a team more. And I'm like, I think Tatum might be more talented, but I think Mitchell can elevate a team more. his argument was Tatum is the better player. With everything that's went on, I think it's official Tatum is better. So, Dalton, you and I were having this debate a couple months ago. I think you've won because Tatum, I think, overall is better. And the fact that the Celtics have fought through their terrible start to the year and got to the point where they look like a finals contender, I mean winning the finals, not being in it, that's insane, and that's due in large part to Jason Tatum. He has been insane and looks like, what everybody thought he could potentially be. I mean, the highest ceiling of him was what we're seeing, right? Like the highest possible projection of him is what we're seeing. So, props to Celtics fans just for, having faith in him. And I mean, yeah, Tatum's a heck of a player. And in general, don't sleep on the Eastern Conference. It is the superior conference right now. I mean, it is a lot of great basketball being played over there here in the East. So, yeah, basically just I love Donovan Mitchell. Think he's a great player. I mean, I think, potentially my second or third favorite shooting guard in the league. Not potentially, he is my second or third favorite shooting guard in the league. But, I don't think it's going to come together with this Jazz team for him. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't think the Knicks is really a good move for him. I'm not sure where or what he does from here. Tatum, I think, should, based off the setup he's got with Brown, just be set with the Celtics until really, barring something crazy, he might be a Celtic for life. So, granted, though, a lot of guys aren't lifers anymore, but I could see Tatum maybe being one. So, yeah, Tatum, I mean, he cooks. Tatum flat out cooks, and he looks like maybe MVP next year. I don't want to pencil it in already, but I mean, he's definitely got, I think at the beginning of the year, it'll be like Giannis, him, Luka, and Ja. Those would be like the four favorites. Maybe Curry's the fifth. So, yeah, I think Ja and him and Luka are really the main three, and then Giannis is always in the conversation. Maybe Jokic potentially again in the conversation. I don't know. We'll have to see. But point is, thanks for listening to the pod. Hope it was a good one. Very NBA heavy. I love you, Saddiq. Great work, my boy. 51 points. That's 10 more than the number on your jersey, and when you wear the number 41, that's very impressive. So, yeah. Pay more attention to guys like Lowry Markkanen, Marvin Bagley, Isaiah Livers, Ayo Dosunmu, and Grayson Allen. Hopefully next time on the team. I just blanked because I forgot we didn't talk about most improved. I think it's Garland. It's got to be Darius Garland, right? He's been awesome. So, Darius Garland. But I don't think it's Ja because I think Ja we all kind of expected to be able to hit at this point. Whereas Garland, I think it was a question mark. So, yeah, pay more attention. Probably next time I do that, I'll have more definitive all around the NBA. But I just want that team is really just for guys I feel like talking about. They're not really all on the same talent level. Obviously, Grayson Allen is better than Isaiah Livers, and Ayo Dosunmu I think is worse than Lowry Markkanen. But they're all different levels. They're just guys I felt like talking about. So my favorite players in the league: Josh, Shake, Bey, Antetokounmpo, and Jared Allen. Definitely think that's a starting five. I don't think there's really any changing that in the foreseeable future. Make sure you realize how good Shake Milton is. Like, I'm kind of joking, kind of not. He's a stud. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy this episode of the pod. And probably next time I see you, we'll be talking about baseball. So, I know my mom doesn't really like NBA and loves baseball. So, same with my girl. Well, my girlfriend likes NBA, but my girlfriend likes baseball the best. So, I'll be making two people happy when I do the baseball one. See y'all, and thanks for listening.